What's up, Eagles Nation? First off, I just want to say thoughts and prayers to those in California who have been affected by the wildfires. Hopefully, the the situation there gets better sooner rather than later. Look, we all know Mother Nature can be a problem at times. I know here a few weeks ago we had a minor earthquake, which I actually felt because I was up in the kitchen at the time. I didn't know what it was. Then I started wondering, was that an earthquake? Was that a tremor? Because the house kind of shook a bit, and but indeed that's what it was. So you never know sometimes, right? It's funny how things just happen. I want to give a huge shout out to Eagles Nation, who the Green Legion and all the Eagle fans, whether they're the ones that lived in on the West Coast or the ones that traveled to the West Coast. I mean, believe me, when this team needed you guys the most, you guys and gals, let your voices heard when the Eagles were up 2 late in that game and the Rams had the ball, and then they had the punt, and the fans were tremendous at that game, making noise. Didn't take over the Coliseum quite like they did at StubHub Field with in the Chargers game earlier in the season. Look, this is a much bigger stadium. StubHub Field, of course, is a soccer stadium, so it's a little different going to the Coliseum. But I gotta tell you something. I mean, look, this fan base is passionate for this team. We love our Eagles. Win or lose, we're always there. I mean, that's the one thing about this fan base is we're always there. After wins or losses, we're us that do the vloggers, we're always vlogging. We don't just show up when we're winning and when times are good. We're there. I mean, my channel, I've been doing this series now. This is my 4th year, and I do want to give a congratulations and a tip to the hat to the Eagles. NFC East Division Champions of 2017-2018 season. The NFC East Division Champs for the first time since 2013. And the last time they won the division championship, Nick Foles was the quarterback. And it looks like from early reports and what we're hearing is we won the game, but boy, may have lost the quarterback because Carson Wentz may be out. It's not confirmed, it's not 100%, but looks like he could have a torn ACL and be out for the season. He was going for a touchdown. His leg kind of got sandwiched there. It looked ugly. And at first I'm like, did he get a concussion? Because he was hitting the helmet too. And that was just an ugly, ugly play. And look, I mean, there's going to be people that say he can't do that. Why is he doing that? The guy's a winner. The guy wants to make plays. And yes, are there times where, it's doing a little too much? Sure. But how many quarterbacks get praised for stuff like that? Like Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, all these quarterbacks that are mobile quarterbacks that can make plays like that and go for touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, they do it at their own risk because you can get hit and body parts can get broken and all sorts of stuff. It's a tough game. And indeed, it looks like it could be. And it's early reports, and I don't know. They'll get the MRI tomorrow. But it looks like Carson Wentz might be out the rest of the year. And this is why I said, even when we were rolling along, I said, look, this is a week-to-week deal. I mean, all you have to do is look at the Houston Texans and what happened with them. I mean, Deshaun Watson, Rookie of the Year candidate, was having a tremendous season. His season ends on a non-contact play in a practice. And he's out for the year. That's how quickly this thing can change. Now, with that being said, I do not think the season is over. Okay? And I know there's a lot of Eagle fans that are going to be, crestfallen and, oh my God, the season's over. Oh my God, this is it. Now it's Nick Foles and we're done. I will say this. Is Nick Foles Carson Wentz? Absolutely not. But what this means is that the play calling has got to change. And maybe it should have changed already. Because, again, in this game, the run-pass ratio was just completely out of whack. Okay, and it was one of those shootout kind of games, but still, it's like, guys, you have 3 pretty good running backs. Let's, it doesn't all have to be the quarterback throwing the ball. And I know this is the offense. It's a pass-first offense. But I will say this: there are still a lot of weapons on this team on the offense, and today they were without Zach Ertz, and they still put up 40 points, 40 plus points, and they were without him against Denver. They put up 50, 51. But they do still have a lot of weapons. This is still a team that can run the ball, and I do think that they have to recommit to it going forward. I think Doug Peterson has got to be more balanced. I think if there is any silver lining in this, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, believe me, but if there's any silver lining in this, you saw tonight Nick Foles made some plays against a good defense, we also know that we have 3 weeks until the playoffs. Okay, so there is time for Nick Foles to get in with this offense for 3 weeks, for 3 games, and to get comfortable, both him in this offense and them with him. So there is time. It's not like this was the last week against Dallas, and oh my God, what are we going to do? There are 3 games to go. 3 important games, but 3 games to go for Nick to, get the rhythm going with this offense. If indeed Wentz is out for the rest of the year with a torn ACL. And that's, again, the preliminary report. We don't know for sure, but it was tweeted out by Adam Schefter, and it could be. It could be, because it looked ugly. And the thing is, he still hung in there. He stayed in the game and threw the touchdown pass, which set the franchise record for a season by a quarterback in touchdown passes with 33. Unfortunately, it may have been his last pass of the year. Eagles go on the win 43-35 in a gutty playoff atmosphere type game. It was a game that at one point they were up 21-7. They were up 24-14 at the half. The Rams came into the second half like a house of fire, went right down the field, scored a touchdown, and then they do what the Rams special teams does. They made plays. They blocked a punt, took it in for a touchdown that gave them their first lead since it was 7-0 early in the game. Eagles look listless at times on defense. Eagles were putting up points. I mean, the one thing about this offense is they continue to make plays. Carson Wentz does go down with the injury. He's out for the rest of the game. Nick Foles comes in. And Nick Foles, you know what? He had 2 series to 2 field goals. Made some plays. And for as bad as the defense looked, when their backs were to the wall, they made a play. And it was 2 former Rams that made the play. It was Chris Long getting the strip sack on Jared Goff, and then it was McLeod coming up with the fumble. And then Nick Foles, a former Ram, made made some plays. They got in the field goal range. They were in field goal range. They actually had to get back in the field goal range. There was penalties. There was penalties on both sides. Rams were a little undisciplined as well. The Eagles were a little undisciplined. A lot of holdings, a lot of holding calls on the Eagles' offensive line. That's something they're going to have to clean up for sure, particularly when you're in the red zone. You cannot have those holding calls. I mean, even the Carson Wentz touchdown was called back via penalty. So anyhow, the Eagles, it's just back and forth. They get the lead. They're up by 2 late. Rams have the ball. Rams go 3 and out. And again, credit to the Eagle fans making all that noise. Rams go 3 and out. They punt. Eagles get the ball. They get a huge first down. And again, a tip of the cap to Nelson Aguilar. Who would have thought we would say this a year ago? So Nelson Aguilar, who played his college ball at USC in that stadium for the home games, made a huge third down conversion. Eagles hold on to the ball. They have to punt, but at that point it's like 1 second to go. And the Rams are playing the lateral game, and the last of which was intercepted by Brandon Graham in for a touchdown. That's why the score ended up being 43-35 instead of what would it have been for 43? It would have been, I believe it would have been 37-35, I believe. It's been a long night. A big win like that just drains you. It really does. Just one of those. It was like a playoff game tonight. Both teams, and a lot on the line. Okay, because if the Rams would have won this game, that's the tiebreaker with the Eagles. The Eagles winning this game, and the fact that the Vikings lost at Carolina, which, by the way, if that Viking fan wants to get on my channel this week, which I bet he won't, because, just a troll, just wanted to talk when the Eagles lost. But I did tell him that the Vikings would lose this week to the Panthers. I'm not always right, but when I am, I like to, boast about it. Okay? Because it was a similar situation the Eagles had a week ago at Seattle. Very similar situation. On the road, a tough place to play against a team that's a good team, a playoff-tested team that needs the game. And yeah, I mean, maybe, it was a game the Vikings probably should have won in the end, but hey, they didn't. So, boo-hoo. Okay? So no, back to the Eagles. Listen, there's no way to sugarcoat this. If indeed Carson Wentz is out for the rest of the year, it's tough. It's a tough injury, and that's the one injury that we all said throughout this season, even throughout the 9 straight wins, which was the last guy. And we've had a lot of injuries this year. A lot of injuries to key players. Captains of the team went down. I mean, you lose Jason Peters, you lose Darren Sproles, you lose Maragos, you lose Ertz a few times, for 2 games. You lose Jordan Hicks, the starting middle linebacker, and now, of course, you lose Carson Wentz, and Wisniewski also got hurt in this game, so we're going to have to see the status of him. Look, they're banged up, and there's a lot of teams that are banged up this time of year. I understand that. It is what it is. It's a rough game. But to lose Carson Wentz was like the last thing you can lose, the last player you can lose. And again, I will use this as a preface. I'm not going to come on here and say the season's over. Because this team is 11-2, and I get most of those wins were with Carson, but it was a gutty win tonight. I mean, they could have easily lost this game tonight. You lose your quarterback, and the way things were going in that second half, they could have easily turtled up and lost this game. Easily. And they didn't. They found a way to win. A tough game on the road against a good Rams team, and yes, it is a good Rams team. That's a good football team. And I believe that these two teams are going to be battling it out for at least another decade, in the NFC. So, Eagles find a way to get a win. They win the NFC East Division Championship, and for the first time in 4 years that I've done this series, I can actually start talking about playoffs. Playoffs! Finally! Right? It only took 4 years. But now we can talk about the playoff situation. And look, there are important games to come. Very important games. The rest of the way, in particular because Wentz is out, does that make things a little more difficult? Absolutely. But again, this is where the coaching staff has got to come in, and they have got to streamline this offense. If Wentz is out, they have got to streamline this offense so that Nick Foles doesn't have to do it all. As I see right now, Carson Wentz is being, they're showing a live shot of Carson Wentz being carted out. I guess of the stadium. He's on one of those like gator type deals, so that's definitely not good. Not putting any weight on the foot. Well, with his knee, obviously. Listen, them's the break sometimes. This is a rough sport. Teams have overcome things like this to win. We have seen teams, and I'm not saying Super Bowl right now. Believe me, I'm not. Far be it for me to say that. The way things are right now with a backup quarterback and everything. But we have seen in the history of this game teams win with maybe not the greatest of quarterback play, maybe not the greatest of quarterbacks, because other phases of that team work. The running game, the defense. Look, other guys on this team have got to step up. There's no doubt about it. The offensive line has to step up. The defense has to step up. Look, they look like Swiss cheese out there tonight for a large portion of the game. They made plays at the end when they absolutely had to, and I think that's the mark of a great defense. Maybe you beat them, but in the end, they find a way to win. They find a way to get the big turnover, like Chris Long did. They find a way to stop the team when you absolutely have to have it, and credit to them for that. But the leaders on this defense have got to rally around this thing, and they have got to say, hey, guys, this thing might be on us a little more than we thought it was going into this Rams game. So this defense, and I think they will respond. This defense has got to play better. This defense has got to come together as a unit and just stop the opposition. Because it's on them. You can't give up 30, 40 points now. High 20s into the 30s and expect to win, because your offense, and I do believe they're still going to score points, and I do believe that this is still a good offense, but your offense isn't going to be doing what they were doing. More than likely. It's not a knock on Nick Foles, but it's also realizing that he's not Carson Wentz. So knowing that, this defense has got to stop the opposition. They have got to do a better job than they've done the last 2 weeks getting off the field on third down situations. You got to stop the run. You got to make your opponent one-dimensional, as they did for a large part of this season, tonight's game withstanding. They have got to get back to the defense that they were playing a few weeks ago. And I understand that Russell Wilson and the Seahawks are a very good offense, and so are the Rams. And these are the type of teams you're going to be playing in the playoffs, hopefully here. But this defense has got to step up, because really the onus, I believe, falls on them. Because if you can hold a team to under 20 points in the playoffs, odds are you're going to win that game. So when there's opportunities there to get takeaways and to stop your opponent, you got to do that. And I know Bradham dropped a couple interceptions today. You got to get whatever when the opportunity represents itself, you got to take advantage. And really, like I said, the onus is on this defense, and the onus is on the coaching staff to bring more balance to this offense, not just pass. Particularly with the way, if the offensive line on the left side is a little bit of an issue, and if you have a quarterback that's not to the level of the guy who was in there in Carson Wentz, you have got to become more balanced. And that's something that Andy Reid did years ago when Donovan McNabb was lost for the season and Jeff Garcia came in. And they started running the ball more, right? Brian Westbrook and company. And that's what this team has to do. Look, they have good running backs. Jay Ajayi is a Pro Bowl caliber back. He's got to get the ball more. LeGarrette Blount scored the most touchdowns in the league last season. He won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Get these guys involved. Clements had a really good year for a rookie. Get these guys involved. If they're going to be playmakers, you got to get them involved in the game. You cannot forget about these guys and just have Nick Foles pass. Because guess what? Nick Foles goes down. Well, then even the most hardened of Eagles fan is going to say, yeah, we're done. So you got to protect the quarterback. And Nick Foles is not as elusive as Carson Wentz. He's more of a statue in a pocket. Now, he can move around a bit, but he's not Carson Wentz mobility. So you got to protect him, and you got to run the ball. You got to establish a run game. In this defense, you got to step up. You got to stop your opposition more so than you certainly did tonight, and even in Seattle. Got to get stops. Got to get off the field. Special teams as well. Got to do a better job. I think they did good tonight, but again, the block punt. I would like to see them get more touchbacks on the kickoffs. I know at times it's still they're making tackles inside the 20 or at the 20, so okay. But again, it's little things that turn into big things. Not getting a touchback, guy gets out the field, they're running for the 40-yard line or whatever, big return. Let's not forget the last time the Eagles were in the playoffs in 2013. It was a Darren Sproles return and a horse collar call that set up the Saints to go down the field and get the eventual game-winning field goal. These are things that this special teams cannot do this time, obviously. So guys have got to step up. You got to rally around this. And as I said before, we have seen many teams win with maybe lesser quarterback play, but other players are stepping up around them. Great defensive play. Obviously, when you take a look at the Buccaneers when they won, when you take a look at the Ravens, you can even argue both their Super Bowls. Even the Giants. I mean, the Giants won in 19. What was it? 19. The first Super Bowl I ever saw was Super Bowl 25. Jeff Hostetler was the quarterback. It wasn't Sims. So he came in due to injury to Sims, and he won a Super Bowl title on a famously missed field goal. But you can't take the title away from him. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say Super Bowls. But one thing I will say, The one thing I will say is it's vitally important for this team to get home field, more so now than ever. And we were having a nice little heated discussion, maybe not even heated, but a nice little argument this week at work, my boss and I, about the home field. And he doesn't think it's very important, but I think it's important for this team because I think they established themselves as having one of the best home field advantages in the league. They have played really well at home, and the fans have been in full throat at the games. It's been a great atmosphere, and this team feeds off that. And now more than ever, because if you're going to be without Carson Wentz, and it looks like for all intents and purposes you could, hey, how great would it be, at least if anything else, to have 2 home games to get to the Super Bowl? And then you take your chances in Minnesota against whoever, probably the Patriots or the Steelers. I'd probably say the Patriots, but that's the way things go. But you got to get that home field. And this team still has a good chance of doing that. There's 3 games left. You go 2-1 in those 3 games, odds are you're going to have the home field advantage. Okay? So it's really important for this team to get that home field advantage, to lock that up. They've locked up a playoff spot tonight. Congratulations for that. NFC East Division champs. Congratulations for that. They're 11-2. This was a gutty win tonight. Gutty win. And they showed character in this game. They really did. And for all of you who thought, oh, Seattle exposed them, they exposed them, I don't know. You put up 43 points. I don't know if you're getting exposed. It was a tough game last week. I said after the game, this team did not take advantage of the opportunities that were there. And yes, if that happens in the playoffs, they will be out. But that's the same for any team. Okay? There's nothing new. If you don't take advantage of opportunities that are there, you're going to lose. This team took advantage of a huge opportunity late in the fourth quarter today with the turnover the defense gave them. They got points. They took advantage of it, and then they ended up winning the game. Okay? So last week was just one of those games. It happens. It happens to every team in the league. But does it mean they're exposed because they lost in a very difficult place to win? I know Washington and Atlanta won the last 2 there, but does that mean that the Eagles are some horrible team now, all of a sudden from 10-1 to 10-2, and oh my God, they got figured out? No. There was opportunities there. They didn't make them. They didn't take advantage of them. Wentz missed some throws. There were some, plays that could have been made defensively that weren't made. Doug could have challenged a play late in the game. He didn't. Opportunities there that he didn't take advantage of, and they lost. It happens. I'm sorry to break the news to you. Okay? Tonight, they rebounded, and even without their quarterback, they found a way to get a win in a tough against a tough team, a playoff caliber team in the Rams. And oh, by the way, they put up 43 on a very good defense and a very good defensive coordinator in Phillips. Yeah, I know the last of which was a very late touchdown on an interception on a lateral, but still, you put up 43 points on the road, you're doing something right. This team has overcome a lot this season to get to 11-2. Okay? I don't think that this is a horrible team now, all of a sudden, even if Wentz is out. I think this is still a very good team, and I don't think there's any juggernaut in the NFC. I really don't. The Vikings lose today. The Saints lost earlier. Everything broke right for the Eagles, if you think about it. The Saints lose on Thursday night in Atlanta. The Vikings go to Carolina. They lose. The Eagles already beat Carolina. I don't think there's any just juggernaut team. I really don't. And it's all the more reason why, if this team can get home field, even if it's Foles as the quarterback for the injured Wentz, I'm not going to sit here and say there's no way this team can't win, because there is. You play great defense, you have a balanced offense, you can win. You got to win this game in the trenches. That's where this game has been won since the start. And that's where you win. And that's when teams do that, those are the teams that go to the Super Bowl. Those are the teams that win the Super Bowl. Okay? So you got to do that. Offensive line's got to play better. Defensive line, you got to do the things that you've done this season to be one of the best defensive lines in the game. If they do those things, they still have a chance to do something really special this season. Okay? So I'm not going to sit here and say the sky's fallen and our season's over. it's about making adjustments, and this team has made adjustments with injuries this season. Let's not forget. Now, this is a big one. This quite possibly is the biggest one, if indeed Wentz is out for the year. But you got to adjust to it. It's that next man up mentality. Wentz has been. I keep saying Wentz. Foles has been here. He's been in this offense. He was there in Kansas City last season with, or a couple seasons ago. I'm sorry, with Doug Peterson. As a backup, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He knows this team. He knows this fan base. He's been here. So there's nothing new here. I think it was a good offseason acquisition to bring him here just in case. Now, he can't get hurt. Okay? But this team's got to rally around Nick Foles. And again, the offense, you have to have balance. You got to run the ball more. And that's on the coaching staff, and I believe that's what they have to do. That's what they will do. Have a little faith in the coaching staff. Have a little faith in the personnel. They still have a lot of weapons. And the receiving core, the tight ends, you got to just continue to make plays. Are they going to score 40, 50 points a game? No. But when you get to the playoffs, who does? All right, usually they're lower scoring games, but you got to take advantage of the opportunities when they're there. Okay? That's what this team has to do. How do you win? That's how you win. You win in the trenches, and you take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves in those games. We can point to all those Eagles playoff games in years past and say this is why they won and this is why they lost. Okay? Listen, I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression. That was an awful, awful loss with Carson Wentz. The guy, I feel horrible for him because he was having an MVP caliber year in his second year in the league. Are you kidding me? 33 touchdowns, franchise record for a regular season, touchdown passes. The guy was off the charts. I mean, he leaps and bounds. I mean, what he did from last season to this season, they gave him weapons in the offseason. They gave him weapons in the season with Jay Ajayi. I mean, the focus was to help the kid, and that's what they did. And he was playing phenomenal. I know he had a bad game against Seattle. Look, a lot of quarterbacks are going to have a bad game in Seattle. Nothing new. Okay, even with their injuries. Phenomenal. He was having a tremendous season. And I do feel and hope that, if he's out for the rest of the year, he's got to rebound, he's got to rehab, he's got to do what he has to do to get back next season. Maybe learn from this. Maybe you don't take as many chances. But the guy's a winner. He only knows one way to play. The shame of it is, if he's out for the year, is that we lose that ride for the rest of the year. We don't get to see him the rest of the season, and the way he was playing, it sucks. Because he was a fun quarterback to watch, and I'm not trying to say was right, because it's not like he'll never play again. He will. And he'll be good again next season and for the foreseeable future. But the tough thing about it is, boy, he was having an MVP caliber year, and now he's out. And now it's up to Nicky Six. Good old Nick Foles, who I had in Madden, due to an injury to Carson Wentz. And now it's up to Nick, and now it's up to this defense and the coaching staff and all the players on this team. This is still a good team. This is still a team that if they can get home field in the playoffs, you take your chances, you never know. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you the season's over. I'm going to tell you, let's rally around this thing as a fan base as well. It's difficult, it's tough. This game is about injuries. I mean, we know this. Terrell Owens, what a year he was having in 04-05. He goes down with the horse collar, right, with Williams against Dallas, and he's lost until the Super Bowl. Now, they went to the Super Bowl, and he played. He had a hell of a game, but yeah, I mean, look at all the fun we were having that year. And he goes down, and we thought, oh, God, that's it. We're done. And they go to the Super Bowl. So stranger things happen. You just never know in this game. It's a week-to-week deal, like I've always said. Let's rally around this thing. Look, we're 11-2. We won an NFC East Division championship tonight, and have a great chance to get home field, even if Wentz isn't there. Have a great chance to get home field, at least for one game in the playoffs, get a first-round bye, home field advantage. It's still there for the taking, and that's so key. When you look at some of these other teams that are going to get in, having that home field is paramount. And that's still something that's in reach for this team to do. So next week, it's at the Meadowlands against the Giants, and division game, so they're always going to be tough. I know the Giants right now, I mean, were they 2-11? So it's like the reverse, 11-2 versus 2-11, but you can't take them lightly. Because you know that all they want to do right now is play role of spoiler. So there's that, and then home on Christmas night against the Raiders, and then home on New Year's Eve day against Dallas. And that's what's left. Gutty win tonight, 43-35 against the LA Rams at the Coliseum. Nick Foles comes in for the injured Carson Wentz and helps lead him to a victory. Carson Wentz might be out for the year. Could be a torn left knee, ACL. Heartbreaking, news if that's the case, but we'll know tomorrow for sure. But as a fan base, this is where we're going to be tested. Hey, this team tests us. This team tests us. People wonder why we are the way we are. Well, now you see. Because it can never be easy. There's always drama. There's always something. But that's what being an Eagles fan is. And I wouldn't rather be a fan of any other team. I love this team. And I'm still looking forward to a ride in the playoffs, even if Wentz is out. And hope to God he rehabs this offseason, he comes back strong again next season, if that's the case. But it's about moving on, and it's about trying to still get that prize. And this team still has a chance to do that as far as I'm concerned. But guys got to step up on all sides of the ball. And now it's 3 games to go. Big games. Try to get these wins, get the home field, and a first-round bye, and you're still looking pretty good. All right, Eagles Nation. Again, a big shout out to all the Eagle fans that made the trip there, or maybe were from the West Coast and went to the game, or were outside the game cheering, during the pregame stuff. Paying Rams fans to go? Really? Really? Anyhow, Eagles win. 43-35, 11-2, and NFC East Division champs. And for the first time, as I said before, on this channel, in this series, the Season of the Fan series, I can talk about playoffs. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited to finally have some playoff, vlogs, in the series, in the series season. All right, everyone, take care. Let's go Birds, as always. A tough one. Hey, look, Carson Wentz being out, that's a big blow. But this team still has a chance to do something special this year as far as I'm concerned. I'm not giving up on it. Okay? 3 big games to go, and then we're in the playoffs, so let's get ready for it. And I expect all you Eagle fans and Eagle Nation to be out there loud and proud in the Meadowlands or at Lincoln Financial Field the next 3 games, and then in the playoffs, got to be there for this team because you fans can make a difference in these games as well. And don't you forget that, all the people who go to the games. You have a chance of making a difference as well. Let's not forget that. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching as always. Let's go Birds, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.